1, 2, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, rock. 5, 6, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, rock. 9, 10, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock.
My guest today is Wayne Allen. Wayne Allen, drummer extraordinaire, a man with a past and a future. So welcome to the program.
No, thanks, guys. Nice to be here.
Should we call you Biggie Rat then, Wayne?
No, those days have gone, I'm afraid. Yeah, well, thank goodness.
So that was a nickname you had in the early days,
That was a nickname that was given to me in the very, very early days, yeah. And how it came about was there was a cartoon series on TV called King Leonardo in the 60s. And it used to be little Biggie Rat and his little offside, Itchy brother, who used to try and pinch all the crown jewels from the castle, you see. And because my mate and I used to take them off, and I'd say, now here's the plan C, and he'd say, okay, Big, I dig. And of course, we got labelled with that, and everybody kept calling me Biggie Rat. So, yeah, so the name's gone right through, but a lot of them either call me Ratty now or Biggie or, you know.
Yes, it might be sort of something like the Rat Pack or something.
Yeah, well, that's dead right. We did form a group in the late 80s called Ratty, Rainy and Murph, which was quite...
Wayne, you epitomise the drummer. You actually just ooze confidence when you've got those sticks in your hands and you're thumping away on the drums. How did you get started?
Yeah, it's a long story, but back in my high school days, I used to go along and watch the band playing at the school and quite liked what the drummer was doing at that time, and started going out to the local dances and watching all these other drummers, and I thought, gee, I'd like to be a drummer. That sounds good. So I started by going into Mum's cupboards, pinching out the pots and the pans and the little cake trays for cymbals and destroying them. And then my mum, in the end, she had enough of that and went out and bought my first kit of drums for my 12th birthday. So she bought me this kit of drums and I thought it was Christmas, because nowadays it was only the cheapest you could buy, but it did the job. It was a great start, and I owe a lot to Mum over that. So, and that's how that all started. And then I bought my first drum kit when I turned professional in 1962 at the Plainsman. And I bought a kit of tricks and drums off of Eli Moody's, and that was the start of my professional career.
So before you turned professional, though, there's a wee gap there, isn't it? As the boy was becoming the man, so to speak. So,
yeah.
And still playing drums and getting further involved with it? Were you playing in amateur bands?
I was. What? I played, my first band was the Telstars, and then I joined a group called the Mustangs. From there, I went to the Caledonian Hall and joined the Diamonds, which was at Bart Bull's Zodiac Lounge dances at the Caledonian Hall. And I came across a very wiry fella who was a great drummer by the name of Pete Ward.
And yes, he was a great one.
We knew Peter well.
And the rest is history, because Pete took me under his arms and just coached me into, and taught me more that I wanted to do. And the rest is just history, as I say. The guy was just a great teacher and a great guy and mentor.
Yes, and I've heard it said that you play very much like him. So you're seen as his sort of protege.
Sure,
yes.
sure.
But you're more than a protege, because I have on the desk in front of me here, Drum Connections, Keeping New Zealand Drumming Alive.
Mm-hmm.
And here we are on page 26. Wayne Allen, drumming past to present.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us about it.
Well, it's just a sort of a breakdown of my history of what I've done from when I first started, and all the names and groups that I've played with. Some well-known groups, of course. There was the Secrets in the 60s.
Paul Muggleston. Gary Thane.
The late Gary Thane, God bless him. The Derek Wright was the guitarist in that one. And then those guys sort of departed and went to England, so we kept the name of the Secrets, and we got Jeff Cavender in, which was the three-piece soul band, Stan White and myself. Yeah, so that was one of the highlights of the early days, the apprenticeship days, as I call them.
Yes. I'm looking at this huge list. The Telstars, the Mustangs,
mm-hmm.
the Diamonds, the Dynamics,
mm-hmm.
Echophonics, Funny Feelings, Secrets, Simple Image.
Mm-hmm.
Goodness, it goes on and on and on.
Yeah, well, Simple Image, of course, I joined in Australia when I left here in 1969, and it's a funny story there too, because the night I arrived, the old keyboard player Stan White, who I used to work with, took me down to the Checkers nightclub in Sydney, which was one of the biggest nightclubs happening in those days. And here's the Simple Image there. And of course I knew the guys. We'd all sort of toured together over the years, and they were auditioning for drummers.
Oh, my goodness, that's timing.
So I got up and had a sit-in with them. They said, okay, if you come back on Friday with your gear, we'll audition you. Well, the next morning I got a phone call from Barry Leff saying, don't worry about bringing your gear, you got the job, you start Friday. End of story. They wanted to keep it an all-New Zealand affair.
Right.
So, it worked out really good in those terms. And that group stayed around the scenes for about 3 years until everybody found a new direction, because the music scene over there was so different to New Zealand. Everyone found their different directions, sort of parted ways.
Such a career's made of.
That's dead right. They find an identity that is a challenge to them, and they're prepared to take that challenge, and I think that's why they've been successful, a lot of these guys.
Now, Guilty Harvest?
Guilty, that was a group that I joined when I came back from Australia in the early 80s. Now, Harvest, of course, was Murray Wood's band out at the White Heron Travelodge.
Oh, my goodness, yes. There was that dreadful song thing that they did with chickens or something. What was that?
It's not the birdie dance.
The birdie dance.
Oh, no. We won't go into that.
We won't do any more about that. No. But it went on for a long time.
Yes.
It did.
Yes. Actually, that was more or less a package deal when I came back, because the drummer had left Murray and I joined the group. But also they had a change with the TV music show called That's Country. I think it was called A Country Touch then. So that was a whole new vision too, and I got the package deal and ended up being the house drummer for TVNZ's That's Country show band.
And that went for a long time as well.
Oh yes, 4 to 5 years.
Yes.
Yeah, a lot of artists.
Yeah, hard work.
A lot of hard work, but it was
I
really...
bet you learnt a lot though.
Oh, sure.
Somebody said to me it was like being at the University of Music. You just had to know everything.
You did. Because
Yes.
there was so much thrown at you. It's, such a short time of record. By the time it took 3 days to prepare a show, as soon as you finished recording at 10 o'clock at night on that show, you had to be fresh at 10 o'clock the next morning for the new show.
Oh, yes, that's difficult.
So it was home, learn all that stuff, get up and be back there ready to count them in again for a new show.
Well,
and
that would be hard.
It was.
Yes.
It took its toll, but we got through it.
Yes.
We got through it.
I'm looking at the list of artists that you've recorded with. For those of you who've joined us, we're talking to Wayne Allen, and he's sharing with an insight into his madcap years.
Aye.
Because he has got a sense of humour.
As a drummer.
As a drummer.
As a drummer, yeah.
And let me think of it here. Alison Durbin.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I've loved me a man. I always liked that
That's
song.
right.
Yes, Susan Prentice.
Yes. I'm still working with Susie.
Great stuff. Ray Columbus, Max Merritt,
Yes.
Shane,
Yes.
Suzanne Lynch. I saw her on TV the other night, and she's a great person. She's done
fabulous.
some wonderful things, and she's got a lovely voice.
Indeed.
Yes.
Indeed she has.
Yes, great son too in that band that he's got. Yes. Let me think now. What else have we got? Yolande Gibson. I haven't seen Yolande for years. Pat Kearns, of course.
Pat Kearns.
Graham Wardrobe. He's a great guy as well, isn't he?
Brilliant guitarist, great arranger, and a gentleman to work with. Love working with Graham.
And much in demand overseas.
Sure, indeed.
Now, life is full of synchronicity because last week we were trying to find Roy Phillips from the Peddlers because we wanted the song Girly. And today I met his partner and she said, oh, yes, I can put you in touch with Roy, so we're hoping to interview him shortly.
Excellent.
Yes, and the late Billy T. James. What a man.
Yeah, and a very funny man. There's no such thing as rehearsal with Billy.
What you see is what you get. Sort of thing,
what happens is he arrives and says, I'll see you in the bar. We turn up into the bar and he's got a coaster and he just writes down the songs and that's the key. And all he says is, follow me. He counts us in, follow me. And I'll tell you what, it's just like a professional show anyway. It's
Marvellous.
just a professional act and a great guy, but a funny guy. Very funny. Yeah.
This list goes on, but tell me, there must be some times that are special to you.
Yes, in the music scene there is. Of course, the special thing was getting my first kit of drums. That was very, very special. And playing in Sydney with the Simple Image in the Battle of the Bands, 400,000 people at the Sydney Stadium.
That's huge.
And
that's mind-boggling.
That's mind-boggling. And in those days, the bands were popular. We didn't win it, but we had a good crack at it, and we got a lot of work out of it.
Yes.
That was the beauty of. That was a great highlight. In the later years, of course, working with such artists as Emmylou Harris, Dobie Gray. Was, to name a couple and the Flying Burrito Brothers on That's Country, to even meet these American stars was just an honour to be there and great. That was a great highlight. Another highlight was working with Max Merritt at the Millennium concert at Hagley Park.
How did that go?
That was great. that was a fantastic night. You know, Max. As soon as Max came out, the crowd just went wild. And of course, as soon as he started to play "Slipping Away," at the start of it, they're all up
Great
and roaring.
song.
Great song. He's written some good songs, Max.
Yes, he has, and it's such a great thing for us that he's willing to come back, and he's really looking forward to coming back
Sure.
for our festival March next year.
Indeed,
And
indeed.
at his own expense, he's coming all the way from Los Angeles to Australia, and that's wonderful.
Oh, it is wonderful.
Yes, wonderful.
Indeed, indeed.
Now I'm looking at the secrets, and you all look so incredibly young. What is it?
Bananarama.
Yes.
Yeah, now, that was an advert that was done on Playdate. Can you remember that magazine,
Yes.
Playdate, years
Yes.
ago? We had our photos plastered all over the back page for about 3 weeks. Banana Mania.
That would be great publicity.
It was. It was.
I see that you're using a Premiere set of drums in some of those photographs. What are you using these days?
Well, yes, Premier, a good brand. No, the drums I use these days are Gretsch, which are an American drum.
Yes,
All
I've
the
heard of them.
Big band drummers used
Use
them
them.
years and years ago. They've got a great name, and they've just retooled and come out with the new stuff. I've just actually sold the big kit that I've had, and I've got my brand new ones which have arrived, which is the 120th anniversary model.
So it sounds, looking at his face here, everybody who's listening, he's got a smile that
From
goes from
ear
ear
to
to ear.
Aye, indeed.
Yes, he's been waiting a wee while for those, have you?
I have indeed, yes. So they're the first cab off the rank they were, and it's the first time in 50 years that they've actually changed a few things. And it's a bit technical to go in for the viewers, but or the listeners there, but they build what they call proportionate shells. So the smaller the drum, the thinner the shell, the bigger the drum, the thicker the shell. So but it balances the sound evenly all the way around.
So is there a great deal of difficulty then going into a new set of drums like this from your other set of drums?
There is indeed. The tuning is very similar, but it gives you a better option of what sort of heads that you can use. You can use thick heads, thin heads, depend on what sound you want. But you've got a broader range of drum heads that you can use and get a similar sound, but you can just change the tones that quickly. And they're super quick to tune. So
Different drums for different types of music?
not necessarily, more in the tuning side.
Right.
Yeah, you can virtually use the same drum kit for any style of music, whether it be jazz, pop, rock and roll, balladeers stuff, or whatever. It's just a matter of tuning.
For those of you who've just joined us, you're listening to Dion and Cecile talk to Wayne Allen, and we're getting a very interesting insight into what it is to be a drummer. Over the years, like we started way back in the 60s and we worked through the 70s, and that was sort of more folky, and then there was the sort of that heavy music, and then it went to the 80s, which was disco, and 90s.
Sure.
What's popular now?
Well, because you've got rap music, which is not my forte, but that seems to be quite popular. But there seems to be a lot of rhythm and blues music. A lot of female good singers, but all that rhythm and blues stuff, that seems to be quite a fad at the moment.
Mind you, rhythm and blues has always
Always
been
been
there
there.
under
It
the
has.
surface all the way through,
Yeah,
hasn't it?
and they
Yes.
just call it R&B now, and it's got a sort of a funky type sound, you know.
Yes.
Yeah.
We went through a period we started with about 5 or 6, and it went down to 4, and it went down to 3, and then it was 2, and Dion said that we're going to stop here. But the thing that we lost was the drums. Mm-hmm. And it all went for this canned mechanical stuff.
Yeah, well, that's the duets with the background tracks and backing tracks. You see, but people are starting to wake up now and think, what are we paying for?
Yes.
You know, we should be paying for a band. We want to see a band.
It's good to see
It's
that
the
come.
And
interaction,
you can
isn't
get
it?
more intimate with a band and interactions and sure, you know.
Yes, I think that was part of the reason why the music sort of went right into the background.
Sure.
And they lost their impact.
Sure.
Because you certainly can't lose the impact when you've got a drummer there and he's telling you to wake up and
Aye,
get up.
that's it. But getting back to highlights, this fella here by the name of Louis Belson was one of the great big band drummers. You know, that guy, he turned 83 years ago, so he's 83 now, and he's still playing drums like he did 40 years ago.
Isn't that amazing?
It's amazing.
So full of energy, that guy.
Yes, we went and saw the Elvis show. We sort of didn't have a sort of strong idea what it would be like to see a dead Elvis up on there. But the musicians were amazing, and the drummer, he was amazing.
Yeah, Ronnie Tutt.
Is that his
name?
name?
Yeah, Ronnie Tutt, yeah.
Yes, and he's not a youngster either.
No, he's not. Ronnie's
Yes.
been around for a few years. I
Yes.
actually quite like Ronnie's style, especially for Elvis,
Yes.
because he was watching every move that Elvis made, and he was right there with him,
Yes,
which was great, you know.
Yes, you have to admire those sort of people who can follow so well and fit in so well in any emergency and any change of things. I think that's great.
Exactly.
There's a little side of Biggie Rhett that we haven't touched on yet, and that is the songwriter.
Yeah, this all sort of happened back in Australia when I was over there. I was with a group called the Julian Jones Band, and those guys were real good songwriters. And Julian said to me, he said, well, you can play a bit of guitar. I said, yeah. He said, well, take the guitar home and start playing around and write yourself a song. Now, I've always had something in my mind, so to get it down onto tape is a bit difficult. So anyway, I started playing these notes and singing a melody with it onto tape, and we took it in, and actually Julian helped me arrange it, which was very, very good. And but we never did anything with it until 2002. And I went into Arnie Van Bussel's studio with the group that I was with then, Southern Justice, and said to the guys, well, this is how I want it to go. So we all put our ideals together, and they helped me build this song. And yeah, it's called Back With Me, and I'm quite proud of it. Actually, my first effort in time to write a song. So
we're going to share
now
that with the listeners.
Is Back With Me on the disc that you've given me?
It is indeed.
We'll pull that up and let the listeners have a listen.
Oh, thank you very much.
That would be great.
Yes.
Yes.
So I've recorded some other songs. Actually, recorded Max's song "Slipping Away," and it was just because it was one of my favourite songs. And another cover version I've done of a song called Key Largo.
Key Largo,
which is a great ballad. And I've never sung ballads in my life, but the guy said you've got to sing one, so I gave it my best shot. And
and thoroughly enjoyed it.
I did. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Yeah. I thought, oh, okay, still life in the old fella yet.
Hidden depths, even. I must say that it's been fun talking with you. And I really would like to say that from my personal point of view, drumming, it gives a life to music. Dion and I, over the years, we've played with heaps of people, and we've had such a wide range of drummers.
Sure.
Some of them have been brilliant, haven't they? Peter Heather, he was from the Hollies, and we had the guy that...
Tom Corlett.
Tom Corlett.
Yeah, Tom, yeah, God bless him.
He was great.
Yeah.
Who was the other guy that we had that was really good?
It wasn't the fella that used to break clocks all the time.
Peter Ward.
Pete Ward, the maestro.
Graham Hannum.
Graham Hannum.
Graham, a fine drummer.
Graham
yes.
Hannum, sometimes he was just amazing.
And, each one came into the band and created a different sound.
Sure.
And it was hilarious with Peter Heather because he had 2 full sets of drums and there was never any room for
for
us.
us on stage. Oh, that's right. One good thing is that we've got a band playing as the backing band on the Rock On Festival, 50 Years of Rock and Roll, coming up next year on the 24th and 25th of March. And I understand there's a very good drummer on that, Cecile, by the name of Wayne Allen.
We're looking forward to that.
And we are totally looking forward to this, Wayne. It's great to have you on board.
Well, thank you. I feel very honoured to be part of that show and concert. And, I like all the people to come out and see it, especially all those that are from around our area. They should come out and see what us old fellas can still do.
Well, I was very impressed when we were in the cathedral there because you all had the ability to absolutely lift the crowd. They had such a wonderful time, and I've had so much good feedback about the fact that people were returned to their youth.
Sure.
Well, I understand. Is it correct that some of the artists are the vigilantes, like the Larry Mackay and some of the boys in there? There's
Johnny Parker from the Downbeats. Tony Williams.
John Campbell played all that wonderful Shadows music. And
the Castaways.
Peter Nelson and the Castaways, along with Max Merritt and the Meteors.
And About Time.
And Dinah Lee.
Yes, we've got
Ray Columbus, and hopefully Ray's trying to get the Invaders together. And as you say, About Time. So we've got some great ones coming on
It's
there.
going to be a great, great show.
Tony Williams.
Tony Williams, of course.
Yes,
Dion and Cecile.
Oh, yes, we're going to be. No
yes.
show without us.
No show without them. That's dead right.
Well, I want to thank you very much, Wayne, for joining us. And I really hope that you'll come back again.
Indeed.
Because we want to share with the people the joy of music.
Sure.
And the fact that if they really want to have a really great sound, they've got to have a really great drummer.
Well, thank you. Yes.
So are you 50 plus and loving it?
I am definitely 50 plus and loving it. And as I say, when I get behind the drums, I'm in a different world because I mean business.
Great stuff.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you.
Thanks
Wayne.
very much for having us.